Reverend Father Primitivo Everay Jr., Superior of the Philippine Province of the Society of Jesus. Reverend Father Roberto C. Yap of the Society of Jesus, University President. Ms. Bernadine T. C., Chair of the Board of Trustees of the Ateneo de Manila University. Reverend Father Jose Ramon T. Villarin of the Society of Jesus, former University President and Baccalaureate Mass Homilist. Mayor Victor Maria Regis N. Soto, Mayor of Pasig City. Dr. Maria Lucy Vilches, Vice President for the Loyola Schools. Vice Presidents of the University, Deans, Administrators, Faculty, Professionals, and staff of the Loyola Schools. Parents, families, friends, fellow graduates. Good day. First off, heartfelt congratulations, Batch 2021. We made it. As cliche as it may sound, I think it's a beautiful and comforting phrase to hear today. Despite the extraordinary hurdles and challenges we've been through the past year, here we are, celebrating this great feat in our lives. And all this was made possible with the help of our devoted families, teachers, university administrators, professionals, and staff. Thank you as well to our frontliners, to our doctors, nurses, security guards, grocery staff, delivery riders, public servants, and many more frontliners who allowed their lives to go on while they risked theirs. Perhaps the great question that lies ahead of us today, with everything still going on, is this. What do we do now? To what purpose do we devote our lives? Imagine yourself leaving home, not knowing where to go exactly. In fact, Ateneo has been like a second home to us students for the past 4 or more years. And it is rather sad to bid it goodbye. While we may be leaving our beloved alma mater, enlightened by all it has taught us, it might also be true that we are leaving it somewhat lost, dazed, and confused because of the darkness that surrounds us. I vividly recall my first experience of darkness in college back in second year. I attended this NSTP recollection facilitated by Sir Cholo Santos of the Office of Campus Ministry. It was a very calming session until he asked us this question. What do you seek in life? At that point, I had nothing to say except happiness, genuine happiness. Then he started asking each one of us again, what steps are you taking to get there? At that time, I had this flashback moment of what I had been doing with my life. I wasn't so sure how to answer the question authentically because truthfully, I really wasn't taking any conscious step toward what would make me genuinely happy. I remember the session ended with me sitting on the floor by the front right corner of the chapel, just crying as I struggled to write anything in my reflection journal. My heart was simply filled with anxieties and worries about where my life was headed. It felt like my life was surrounded by darkness, with no light to lead me where I wanted to go. But in that same year, through experiences and people I encountered, I found light and hope in chasing the happiness that I sought. I found light in seeing my org mates all work together beyond class hours at MVP. Not for a grade, but for a project we believe could create an impact in the lives of the people we were making it for. I found light in Princess, a kid from my Edge Partner community who, despite having only one cupcake for baon, offered me half a piece before we started discussing the lesson. I found light in Iva, who broke down during a central board meeting out of frustration, as well as in the members of our all-girl executive board who each had a share of burnout moments, but nevertheless got back up, knowing how important our work was to the community. I found joy while working with and for people towards a greater cause beyond ourselves. Fast forward to today, as we graduate into a world shrouded in darkness and chaos, surrounded by selfishness and injustice. The pandemic happened. Taal erupted. Typhoons like Ambo and Ulysses struck, disrupting, if not taking lives, and exposing faulty systems we had long taken for granted. Schools, work, and even transportation all stopped. But even then, life went on. Life went on because courageous people stepped up and became bearers of light. When darkness took over and no beam of light was in sight, they decided to be it. To be the light bearer, not only for themselves, but for the rest of the people around them who walked in darkness. Come to think of it, when we look back in our online college journey, we may not have even realized taking for granted the lights that kept us going. I saw light in our frontliners who worked day and night, sacrificing not only their time with their families, but their own lives to spearhead this battle against the virus. I saw light in Sir Bobby Guevara, Sir Raul Rodriguez, and every other professor who, despite their initial struggles with technology, learned, adapted, and still inspired each one of their students. I saw light in student leaders of all organizations this year who, despite this difficult online setup, pursued and continued to serve both the students and their communities. I saw light in Ate Jam and Ate Mitch and many other people I met at CYA who patiently answered all my questions about life, faith, and guided me towards strengthening my relationship with God, even in an online setup. I saw light in friends who would check up on us from time to time and become virtual shoulders to cry on during moments we'd feel so isolated from the world. I saw light in our commencement speaker today, Mayor Vico Soto, who continues to challenge society's norms in his efforts of genuinely and honestly serving the people. Addressing contractualization for around 100 Pasig City Hall employees, and standing up for the human rights of even the most marginalized of his constituents. I saw light in Miss Ana Patricianon, who first started the Community Pantry Initiative that sparked movement across the country. From a single bamboo cart outside her house to thousands of community pantries founded on the core principle, magbigay ayon sa kakayahan, kumuha batay sa pangangailangan. I saw light in Kuya Nelson Diaz, a taho vendor from Kawit, Cavite, who selflessly laid out a table of taho for a community pantry. I saw light in people, in communities that work together to make things easier and better for one another. I see light in people who choose to do and see things lovingly, even at such a dark and disquieting time. People who have unknowingly become pillars of hope in our lives by the choice they made to love, to be a light, and to share their light. And as we graduate today, the theme of our graduation in itself poses a challenge for us to be that source of change in the beleaguered world in which we live. Gawing buo ang bansa. Feels overwhelming, doesn't it? It could be daunting out there for graduating students like us to be sent off with such a great responsibility when we are still trying to learn from experience and are still discerning our life vocations. I'm pretty sure at some point you've asked yourselves too, how can someone like me, just me, make change happen? I will not deny having moments of self-doubt whenever I realize how seemingly small I am and that there's only so much I can do as one person. For all the Marvel fans out there, it's not like we have the Infinity Stones and Gauntlet with us to change the world in just one snap. But even then, we don't give up. This truth about our limitations shouldn't keep us from hoping. Rather, we should seek to do our best out of love for the people around us and for the God who loved us first and whom we serve. As Father Jet Villarin beautifully stated, and I quote, "Magis is a translation that while we never reach the summit, we keep on climbing. We may never reach the stars, yet we continue to look at them to guide our lives. And when we look up at the stars, I hope we see God smiling at us." End of quote. In moments when we realize how faint our spark of light is in a pitch black room, we do not put it out and deem it as useless. Rather, we use whatever light we have to illumine our paths or to pass on that same light to another and create a bigger one. Sabi nga ni Sir Jethro Tenorio, nag-iisa ka lang. Pero, hindi ka nag-iisa. You are one of a kind and you have your own unique self, flame, and light to offer to the world. Realize as well that you are not alone. You have community, people around you with whom you could work in making a change and in getting out of the dark together. After all, we are both called to live with and for others. Timely enough today, we graduate close to election year, 2022. It is one opportunity for us to use that light we have within us to choose the leaders who we could challenge and work with in forging a more just and sustainable future for all Filipinos. But it does not end there. Whatever happens from then on, the mission we carry with us today remains. And going back to the great question posed before us today, what do we do now and to what purpose do we devote our lives? I have nothing definite to say, even for myself, except lux in Domino. Light in the Lord through His people. Wherever you may find yourself, allow the Lord's light to be present in you and radiate it to illumine the lives of others as we journey out of this darkness together and beyond it. Dark as we may see the world, let us not be afraid. Let us not be afraid of journeying through the dark with whatever light we have. We can cry, feel lost, anxious and distressed, All of these feelings are valid, but let us not end there. Let us use these tears, experiences of darkness, feelings of frustration and anger, to move and fuel us to get back on our feet, because we know we have something to offer to dispel the pains, the sorrows, and the darkness in the world we see today. In fact, for over 4 years, Ateneo has helped us discover and ignite this flame within each one of us. And it is now time we ask ourselves, how do we use this flame to set the world on fire? Magkakaiba man tayo ng mga landas na tatahakin, tulong-tulong pa rin nating buuin ang bansa sa pamamagitan ng dangal, integridad, katapatan, pagmamahal, at liwanag na tunay ng umiiral sa bawat isa sa atin. To God be all the glory, and thank you so much, Batch 2021, and everyone here today. May God be with and bless us all.